It's not even going to be just about healing from this spinal injury. It's deeper than that. This has been accumulation of several years of just hardcore pressure on my body, man. Hello, welcome to the Curl Squad's Curl Power podcast with me, Zoe Fox. I hope you had a great week. And I'm wondering, in my last episode, I spoke a little bit about human kindness. And at the end, I said, have a little look at and see how many events of human kindness you can spot over the week. Did you manage to notice any, I wonder? Well, human kindness just continued for me over the last week. What another absolutely incredible week, man. The GoFundMe campaign that was set up for my healing has raised £10,000 in a week. £10,000. So thank you so much to every single person that has donated, shared, sent good wishes, sent good vibes, messaged me with just really encouraging words. Like, thank you so much. And on top of that, the story got picked up by the press, both locally and nationally, which was mind-blowing. Seeing my little head floating around the internet. Oh gosh. But in all seriousness, the only thing that I can hope is that this spreads some awareness about this condition, because let me tell you now, Cauda Equina syndrome, it is no joke. And it was something that I'd never even heard of. In fact, the vast majority of people who I've spoken to since this has happened to me have got no idea what it is. And I mean, we've all had bad back at some point, haven't we? Like, most people I know have experienced back pain. But even with all of that, I just never even knew that this was a thing. So I suppose you might be wondering, well, what differentiates a bad back to Cauda Equina syndrome? Well, what I want to do now is just let you know some of the red flags, the things that you should be looking out for. Saddle anesthesia, so loss of feeling between the legs, numbness in or around the back passage and or the genitals, inability to feel the toilet paper when wiping, yeah, I remember that, bladder disturbance, inability to urinate, difficulty initiating urination, I experienced that as well, loss of sensation when you pass urine, yeah, I couldn't feel it coming out, but I could just hear it hitting the water as it went into the toilet. Inability to stop or control urination, loss of the full bladder sensation, and this bowel disturbance, so inability to stop a bowel movement, constipation, loss or sensation when passing a bowel motion. Now, part of this Cauda Equina experience for me means there is no shame in this. There is no embarrassment in this. I'm not going to speak about it with shame or embarrassment, because you know what? These are normal bodily functions, and it's not until they're compromised that, you start to see them a bit differently. Now, I was always really embarrassed and very sort of private and shy about talking about bodily stuff, and I lived with my best mate for however many years, and I didn't even once pass wind in front of her. Right. That's the sort of person that I was. In fact, when I had my first boyfriend, my boyfriend that I live with that died, that I spoke about in my previous episode, when I first moved in with him, I didn't go to the toilet for a week until I could get back to my mum and dad's. That's how sort of embarrassed I used to be about toilet matters. So this has really just sort of shattered all of that. I don't want anybody listening to be embarrassed by this either. Yeah, it just makes it easier for us in times of crisis if we're not carrying around shame and embarrassment on top of what is already a very difficult, traumatic and challenging time. So yeah, I can't remember now whether I said constipation, loss of sensation when passing a bowel motion. So sexual problems, inability to achieve an erection or ejaculate, loss of sensation during intercourse, nerve root pain. Now this was the killer. It says it's quite common to have a combination of back pain, leg numbness or weakness. These symptoms, however, are common in people who have a history of back problems but do not have Cauda Equina syndrome. So that's where the challenge is, isn't it? If you've just got that pain alone, it might not be so sinister. painful and awful, absolutely yes, but perhaps not Cauda Equina syndrome. That's why it's really important to pay attention to the other things that I've just mentioned. If you're experiencing extreme back pain, or if you know anybody else that is, it's good just to be equipped with the knowledge. I had really bad nerve root pain, and that's where it all began. For me, was just this incredible, intense pain that just radiated down my leg in waves of maximum pain scale type stuff. So if you do find that you've got a combination of these symptoms, you need to take that very seriously, and I would most definitely be pushing for an MRI scan. And if you can, get to your best hospital, preferably your local major trauma centre, because they're equipped with all of the knowledge that should hopefully get your issues identified and dealt with in a very timely manner. Because with Cauda Equina, the sooner you can have it operated on, the better your chances are for recovery. And I was very lucky that I got taken straight to Charing Cross Hospital, which is a trauma centre. So the doctor there straight away, when he reviewed my symptoms, he had a very strong suspicion of what the condition was. So he was able to sort of like get me seen to in the most appropriate way. Not everybody is so fortunate. There are a lot of people who present with Cauda Equina syndrome that are sent home, without the condition being identified, and they end up in a very, very difficult situation where the nerves are so damaged, that their problems are 10x'd. And this isn't to fear monger, I don't want you to get me wrong. All I'm trying to do is just create an awareness, because I can't tell you just how much having an awareness of these red flag symptoms could potentially help to save somebody's quality of life. So that's a little bit about Cauda Equina syndrome and what to look out for. A couple of days ago, I had a call from the Specialist Spinal Injury Centre, and it's like everybody's collective goodwill since this GoFundMe campaign has gone out. It's just sending good vibes out into the universe, and now the wheels are in motion and things are happening and people are getting in touch with me, and there's finally a little bit of momentum now. So I've been invited in as an inpatient for 2 to 3 weeks in a specialist spinal injury centre, where they're going to do a full assessment of where I'm at and help me to manage this condition. I feel like finally I'm beginning to look at moving forward into a healing chapter now and getting out of the trauma situation, because I'm over it. I want something to look forward to, something to focus on. I like projects, I like achieving things. I want something to put my mind to. I want to see myself growing and improving over the next few years. And I want to be the healthiest that I've ever been yet. There we go, I'm putting it out. So if you see me sliding into Deliveroo, say, hey, what you doing? Hey, step away from Deliveroo. Yeah, and when I get out of hospital after 2 to 3 weeks, I can just really focus then on the healing and the strengthening. And that's all thanks to everybody's kindness and goodwill and donations. You are making this healing possible for me. Like, how incredible is that? And I talk about healing. It's not even going to be just about healing from this spinal injury. It's deeper than that. This has been accumulation of several years of just hardcore pressure on my body, man. So I'm not going to get too much into this story now, because I'll save that for another podcast, but I went through a few years of infertility and a couple of rounds of IVF, which it's no easy thing, IVF is a very intrusive, in my experience, challenging. IVF was difficult. I found it really hard, and we had 2 rounds of that. And then we did eventually conceive, naturally in the end. But again, I'll talk about that in another episode. But in pregnancy, I suffered with really extreme nausea and vomiting for a really long time. After that, I was suffering with my back as well. So I had a bit of physio for my back, and then when my back started to feel better, I then started having really serious pelvic issues, which actually meant that I was on crutches for the last 6 months of my pregnancy. And in the last few weeks of pregnancy, I could barely move. I was in so much agony, and my baby was really big as well. She was measuring in large in every aspect of her little body and her big, massive head. So they were getting a bit concerned about my labour and stuff like that with my pelvis and the size of the baby. So I ended up being induced. And then After I was induced, I ended up having an epidural. And part of me now does wonder, I'm no medical person, right? So this is just me reflecting over my journey. I'm wondering where that epidural went into my back. And you know what? Something plays back into my mind about a woman who I know years ago. She just said to me, oh, don't ever have an epidural. My back hasn't been right since. So then that was like playing back over my head when this whole back thing happened. Yeah, I had an epidural. Because I'd had an epidural, I had a catheter indwelling. I remember looking down at this catheter bag. This is after like ages of being in just, not fun labour. Looking down at this catheter bag and it was filled with blood, and I'm like, is that normal? Like, is that not supposed to just be urine? And then when I said to them, is this normal that the bag is filled with blood like that, then it was sort of like panic stations and clipping all stuff on me, and it was really actually quite a traumatic time. So that turned out to be sepsis. So when they discovered that I had sepsis, it was then, right, well, we need to get this baby out, and we need to get this baby out now. And so then I had an emergency section, and then I ended up hemorrhaging. Give me a break, do you know what I mean? My poor body. And it's like, I've been giving myself such a hard time for putting on weight. Like, it's no joke. I've put on about 5 stone since I began IVF. 5 stone. And I've been beating myself up because I put on weight. I'm like, girl, you're lucky to be alive. You're lucky to be alive. You should be giving thanks for your body, not criticising it. Not criticising it because it's bearing the effects of the struggle of the last, 4 years of your life. Put some respect on that body. This is the body that birthed your child. This is the body that's got you through to this point. This is the body that's on a healing mission right now, so put some respect on it. So that's where I'm at. I'm just trying to learn to love my body and be patient with it and put the work in that it deserves, because it's been there for me. Now I've got to be there for it. And there's nothing more motivating than wanting to be as healthy and as strong as I can for my daughter. So that's the mission. So this time next week, all being well, I'm going to be in hospital pending COVID testing before going in. So I'm not sure how things are going to work out in terms of being able to record while I'm there. I have to sort of familiarise myself with the setup and what my schedule's going to be there. But I'm hoping that I'm going to deliver you an episode as per, so I can say I'll see you again next week. But you can come and follow me on my journey over on my personal Instagram page, because I'll be sharing when I feel so inclined on there. Also being respectful of my need to just heal and stuff. So, but equally, I'm probably going to be really bored and just be like storying every single aspect of my life. So yeah, you can come and check me out on zoe.e.fox. And I'll be back with some guest episodes shortly. But for now, I'm just going to have to kind of go with the flow and hope that you guys stick with me. I wish you a good week until next time. I'm going to pop some helpful links in the show notes if you want to find out a little bit more about Cauda Equina, Cauda Equina Charity, Spinal Injuries Association, RS Charity. And if you wanted to have a little look at the press that I've got this week, I'll pop those links in too. And yes, peace, love, big, socially distanced hugs. And I'll catch you next time, girlfriend.